Padres fans. This is the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network.
Yeah, Machado laces it in the air to deep left. This one gonna go!
Coming up, we'll recap the last Padres game, preview today's starting pitching matchup, give you our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Craig Stammen. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network, as today the Padres take on the Los Angeles Dodgers in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup tonight for the Dodgers, right-hander Emmett Sheehan, and for the Padres, right-hander Griffin Canning. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres continue this three-game series against LA. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, we have a lot to do. We'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. I go one-on-one with one of last night's heroes, Rodolfo Duran. Plus, a little bit later, we hear from Padres radio voice Jesse Agler, our keys to today's game, and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres and Dodgers enter this series with a half game separating them in the standings. Padres now in first place in the National League West at 29-18. The Dodgers in second at 29-19. Padres have now won 7 of their past 9 games, including the past 4 games in a row. Griffin Canning takes the ball for the Padres today, trying to bounce back after a really tough outing in Milwaukee last week. He allowed 6 runs in just an inning and 2/3 against the Brewers last week. A rough outing for Griffin. Meanwhile, Sheehan comes in with a 4.5 ERA. Series opener last night here in downtown San Diego. Padres and Dodgers meeting for the very first time this season. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Padres and Dodgers first meeting of 2026. Michael King pitched a scoreless first inning. In the bottom half, Yoshinobu Yamamoto took the mound for LA. The second batter he faced was Miguel Andujar.
And Andujar hits it in the air deep to left field. Hernandez backing up. He's at the wall. This one gonna go!
I can smile.
Miguel Andujar with his 4th of the year. And the Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the bottom of the first.
It would stay 1-0 for a while because this marquee pitching matchup was really as advertised. King was totally dialed in. He struck out 2 in the second, 2 more in the third, 1 more in the 4th inning. In the 5th inning, Michael King continued to roll.
0-2 pitch. Once he takes at the knee, strike 3 called, and Michael King strikes out the side. Numbers 7, 8, and 9 here in the 5th inning, a new season high.
King kept on going. 7 shutout frames for Michael King. He left in line for the win. Yamamoto gave up just 1 run through 7 innings. We went to the 8th inning. Padres still leading 1-0. Jason Adam came on. He got the first 2 outs, but the Dodgers put the tying and go-ahead runs on base for Mookie Betts.
0-1 to Betts. Here's the pitch. Hard hit on the ground, right to Bogarts. It short from his knees. He throws to second in time. Ohtani is forced out, and the inning is over.
Big out for Jason Adam. Padres still led 1-0 going to the top of the 9th inning. Mason Miller walked 2 batters to start the inning, but then he retired the next 2 in a row. The game left up to the Dodgers, Andy Pages.
Miller set at the belt. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Pages reaches for it, grounds it to third base. Machado's got it. He's just going to tag, call out, and the ball game is over. What a night at Petco. Michael King, 7 shutout innings. Adam and Miller close the door, and the Andujar homer. Second batter in the bottom of the first holds up as the Padres shut out the Dodgers 1-0.
You expect these type of games when these two teams meet. This did not disappoint. What a terrific pitching performance on both sides. Miguel Andujar's solo shot holds up. Padres take game 1.
Baseball at its best.
Absolutely. What a win for the Padres yesterday. A 1-0 victory in this series opener. And now the Padres looking for a second straight win here today against the Dodgers and a 5th win in a row. As we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40, let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Jesse Agler in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Jesse, baseball can be a very, very funny game, the way momentum so quickly changes. I think back to where the Padres were coming out of that series in Milwaukee. You can make the argument they were one swing away from Gavin Sheets, away from being swept in that series in Milwaukee. And then they have the great series in Seattle. They win such a good ball game, as you alluded to in your calls last night, 1-0 against the Dodgers. And now this team is riding high into the middle game of this 3-game series. Jesse, they're playing some very good baseball right now and doing what they've done all year, which is just simply find ways to get it done, right?
That's it, man. And that's what Tony always says, right? Week to week, you can't get too high, can't get too low. You're going to have good weeks. You're going to have bad weeks. And you just hope that the valleys are not too deep. That is pretty much the name of the game, trying to stay sane over the course of the very, very long season. And you're right. I mean, we've had a couple of weeks this year where, after a couple of days, I could have said to you, hey, they're going to win 4 out of the next 6. And you'd look at me and say, no, they're not, Jesse, because of the way the previous 2 days had gone. And Milwaukee very much felt that way. And then, they go out and have the week that they did. They continued it with the game yesterday, which was just stellar baseball. And here we are. But, we'll see how it goes the next couple of days. But it has been a remarkable season so far for this team to be where they are, 29-18, having won 7 out of their last 9 games, and really not getting the production any of us expected out of the, those 3 guys, right? Manny and Fernando and Jackson Merrill, but finding other ways to do it, having other guys step up, having, a bullpen that has just been incredible at the back end. It's been fun to watch. It's been entertaining. It really has.
Griffin Canning on the mound for the Padres here today. It's been up and down for Griffin. Had that great debut. Then he really was the victim of the Tatis error in the second start and kind of a weird inning in the second start. Then the last one in Milwaukee, obviously the command wasn't there. What will you be looking for from Griffin Canning here today? How do you frame the early part of his Padre career?
Yeah, I think all you have to do is remember what he's coming back from. This is a guy who blew his Achilles out last summer pitching for the Mets. And I don't think any of us should have ever expected him to just come back as if nothing had ever happened, because something very significant happened. And I know it's not an arm injury, but coming back from that sort of injury, that is a major, major injury. It was never going to be simple for Griffin Canning. And, he might have fooled us a little bit that first game against the White Sox, because the guy went out there through 5 innings and gave up a run. And it was like, oh, cool, he's picking up where he left off, last June. But that's not how this works. And as you said, the second one, a little bit you could explain away the runs that he gave up because of the error and the one bad inning. And then, maybe it all caught up to him the other day in Milwaukee. Just didn't have any command, right? Wasn't able to throw the baseball where he wanted it to. He got left out there maybe a little bit longer than in a perfect world they would have left him out there. But the bullpen situation being what it was in that moment, they left him out there as long as they did. So the runs kind of kept piling up on him. But, that's going to happen sometimes. He is coming back from a serious injury. It's not going to be smooth sailing every single time out. So tonight, obviously, try and throw some more strikes. Try to limit the walks a little bit. But I think, Griffin has to have some patience with himself. I think we all have to have some patience with him. I think this is a very, very capable pitcher. I think this is a guy that's going to throw some very, very important innings for the Padres this year. But there are going to be ups and downs. Had a very, tough down his last time out. So we'll see how it looks here tonight.
Meanwhile, on the mound for the Dodgers today, young right-hander Emmett Sheehan. He's had a little bit of an up-and-down season so far. Jesse, what can you tell us about Sheehan entering this start?
Yeah, the home runs are kind of the issue for him. And, there have been times this year when you kind of thought to yourself, well, the Padres don't feel like a team that can take advantage of that. But all of a sudden, now it does. Yamamoto last night had some home run issues. And, in fact, obviously the one run in the game yesterday came on the home run. We'll see if the Pods can further take advantage of that against Sheehan. He's a really, really interesting pitcher to face because unlike so many starters these days, it's not some big repertoire, right? It's a fastball, a slider, and then occasionally change up curveball. But it's a lot of fastballs. It's a really lot of sliders. And the fastball is not some crazy 98, 99. It's sort of a Nick Pivetta 94 up at the top of the zone. It disappears on guys. And when he's right, he's a really, really interesting pitcher. And I think a guy that, when he kind of gets on a healthy roll here over the long term, is going to be somebody to contend with in the National League West. But again, he's been burned by home runs this year. All 7 homers he's given up have come against left-handed batters. So I'm sure Gavin and Jackson Merrill are on high alert when it comes to that. He's also had some trouble this year finishing with 2 strikes. Same deal with Yamamoto yesterday. The Andujar homer came on 2 strikes. So the Padres, who have been, especially as of late, a good 2-strike hitting team, I'm sure will be locked in, ready to go against Sheehan in those situations here tonight.
All right, Jesse, good insight as always. Good point on the left-handed bats for the Padres being on high alert in this one here today. Padres going for a 5th consecutive win. We will talk to you and Tony Gwynn Jr. coming up at 6:30. As always, thanks so much.
You got it, Timmy.
All right, that is Jesse Agler joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres go for another win against LA in the middle game of this 3-game series. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a variety of ways. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well. Sammy Lev there too. You can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. You can also find me on TikTok, of course, at Sammy Levitt, Levitt. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and if you have a key to today's game, let me know what it is, and I may just read it live here on the air. When we come back, we take our first look at the Padres lineup here today, plus we hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. A little bit later, I go one-on-one with Padres catcher Rodolfo Duran, who has really made a big impact in the very early portion of his major league career, especially with what he did behind the plate last night. I talked with Rodolfo a little bit later as well as we get ready for tonight's game here in downtown San Diego. It's the Padres and the Dodgers on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening to the Eco.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the Dodgers. Game 2 of this 3-game series. Right-hander Griffin Canning on the mound tonight for San Diego. Right-hander Emmett Sheehan on the mound for L.A. Take a look at the Padres lineup today. It looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. back in the leadoff spot and playing second base. Miguel Andujar, the DH, batting second. Gavin Sheets in left field batting third. Manny Machado at third base batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Jackson Merrill in center batting sixth. Nick Castellanos in right field batting seventh. Ty France at first base batting eighth. And Freddie Fermin is doing the catching and batting ninth with, again, right-hander Griffin Canning on the hill. Padres getting a big 1-0 win in yesterday's game. Craig Stammen doing a really nice job maneuvering through the bullpen. Padres got out of big-time jams in the 7th, in the 8th, in the 9th, but they found a way to make that early Miguel Andujar home run stand up. And now the Padres going for another win tonight against the Dodgers. With all that in mind, let's hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Griffin Canning making his first start in the Padres uniform this season. What are you looking for from him as he hopes to bounce back from his previous outings?
Yeah, just probably a little bit more strikes. I think the last outing just got a little off and couldn't control the zone and resulted in some runs the first couple innings. So get him in the strike zone today, much like he did against the White Sox, and we'll be good from there.
You guys have the MLB best record in games decided by 2 runs or fewer. What do you think that says about the way this team is playing at this point in the season?
Yeah, we got a lot of veterans. We got guys with a lot of experience that have been in close ball games for their entire careers, and I think they have a slow heartbeat in those moments. And then, it's one advantage that we have over some teams that are younger and maybe a little bit more energetic and younger, attitudes that, we can handle those situations, and, no situation's too big for some of our guys.
Is there a benefit in particular to collecting those types of wins early in the season to build an identity early in the year in that sense that you're capable of winning close games?
Yeah, close games are definitely, momentum for the season. And so when you win those close games, it carries on the next day that we played a tight game and we're able to, do what we needed to. It also speaks that we have a really good bullpen. Bullpens help you in all those close games. And then we have clutch hitting, as we've had a lot of clutch hitting too, and that's that's a good recipe for winning close games.
You arrived in 2017. I think you guys won 6 games against the Dodgers. It was like 58-121 in runs scored. There's obviously been some ups and downs. Talent is a big part of kind of what's evolved, but have you seen just the way the team has approached those series and those games kind of evolve over this time?
Yeah, we probably have a more talented roster the last few years. That's a big help. The Dodgers have perennially been the National League West champions. And I think whenever you're the champion, everybody's gunning for you. And we as the Padres, since I've been here in 2017, have been gunning for the Dodgers. And they've made us better. They've made us, try to be the best at our game. And we're, crawling, scratching to get up to their level. And every time we get a chance to play them, it's a good matchup, and we try to prove that we can hang with them.
Doesn't matter where he's in the lineup. He seems to produce. What do you like about him so far, knowing that you can plug him in any hole and he's going to?
Yeah, you're right. He's just a hitter. He goes up there and hits the ball hard, hits line drives. We like his at-bats, puts the ball in play quite a bit. And you're right, he can hit anywhere in the lineup. He's just a hitter.
Rodolfo Duran threw out 2 runners trying to steal yesterday. When you look at the first quarter of the season, in that sense, your team's ability to control the running game, how do you assess it so far?
Right. All 3 catchers have really thrown the ball well this year. Credit to our catching coach, Kevin Plawecki, Randy Knorr, helping run the running game. And then also our pitchers giving the catchers a chance to get guys out at second. It's collective effort to control the running game. But when you got guys that have great arms like our 3 guys, definitely, it certainly makes up for some of the mistakes in the other areas.
Craig, what have you seen from Estrada since he came back from his little hiatus? Looks like he made good use of that time.
Yeah, he did. I think, it's just smart. Sometimes we try to pitch through things as pitchers, and And there's other times where you just got to nip it in the bud right away and take a little bit of time off, get yourself healthy, and get back to who you are. And I think that was a big part of what Jeremiah was able to do, is take, not only a physical breather, but a little bit of a hey, how can I reset this in the right way and work on my mechanics and get back to who I am. And he's certainly done that.
You mentioned after the game last night when you kept adamant to face Ohtani and then ultimately he faced Mookie Betts, that was a bit of you going with feel, going with your gut. Do you think because of your history as a player, as a reliever in particular, that maybe that lends itself to maybe following your feel for relievers when you're faced with those kinds of decisions?
I don't know. I think there was a few times early in the season where it didn't work out in my favor. Last night it did.
Yeah.
I felt good. One, feel over Jason, his velocity was a little bit up last night. It looked like he was feeling pretty good. I know he's been putting a lot of work on the side to get that velo back a little bit. And then, his numbers against Ohtani and Betts were pretty solid. And so I felt very comfortable about, past at-bats against guys in the history. And then I was able to save Morejon, too, in case we really needed him for Freeman and Tucker. And then also, if we didn't need him, we got a fresh Adrian for today and the rest of the series and the next few days.
How have you enjoyed that part of the job?
I've enjoyed it quite a bit because, I sat out in the bullpen for a very long time wondering, trying to manage the game with the manager and who he's going to bring in, when he's going to bring in, why he was doing this, why he was doing that. And, now I get to actually make the decisions, put my money where my mouth is. And all those times where I was second guessing the manager and was probably wrong a lot, now I get to be second guessed. So I'm enjoying that part.
You mentioned those early instances. Are those lessons, or is that just kind of the nature of the beast? You're not some good calls, some calls that maybe don't go the way you envision?
Yeah, I think both. Definitely learning experiences, but also not everything's going to work out the way you planned. And you can make a perfect move and it just not work out. We're human beings out there playing a game, and sometimes the other guy does better than the guy on the mound.
Have you found yourself to be more of a go with your gut manager than you thought, or less? What have you learned about what you are as a manager versus what you thought you were?
I don't know. The only person I know how to be is myself, and that's just what I'm trying to be out there. I'm trying to back up decisions, not just like willy-nilly go for whatever. Usually there's a thought behind it. Sometimes that thought may not be the best thought, but for the most part, I feel like I'm pretty calculated.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen before today's game inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Craig on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Let's quickly pause for station identification on the Padres radio network.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
Hey, this is Manny Machado from the San Diego Padres. You're listening to Padres Baseball on Padres Radio Network.
An Odyssey Sports Station.
Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
We take a look at the hot category. One guy in there, Miguel Andujar, in the midst of a 7-game hitting streak, batting .345 with 6 extra base hits, 5 RBIs in that span. Miguel back in the Padres lineup here tonight and batting second, DHing here tonight. The not category, we take a look at Manny Machado. His last 14 games, Manny is 3 for 52. That is 0-77 in that span. Jackson Merrill only 3 for 37 in his last 10 games. Manny playing third base, batting cleanup. Jackson in center and batting sixth. Then we'll see if Jackson or Manny can get it going in today's game against Dodgers right-hander Emmett Sheehan. And that's a quick look at who's hot, who's not as we get ready for game 2 of this 3-game set. Now let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Just a few headlines for you. The Braves placing their star catcher, young catcher, Drake Baldwin, on the 10-day IL today with a strained right oblique muscle. Baldwin, of course, the reigning National League Rookie of the Year. Garrett Cole will make his season debut for the Yankees on Friday when they take on the Tampa Bay Rays. It'll be his first start since undergoing Tommy John surgery last year. The Yankees had been weighing whether to have Cole make a seventh and final rehab start or end the rehab assignment a little bit early. Turns out he will pitch for the Yankees on Friday. And finally, Twins had some headlines today. They put Ryan Jeffers on the IL with a fractured left hamate bone. And then Royce Lewis, who at times looked like he could be a star for the Twins. He is bound for the minor leagues. They optioned him down to AAA earlier today. Of course, Lewis, the former number one overall pick in 2017, he had been hitting 163 with a 539 OPS on the season. And those are some quick headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, I go one-on-one with Padres catcher Rodolfo Duran. Plus, we have our keys to today's game. We take a deeper look at today's starting pitching matchup, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more. First pitch coming up at 6:40 from downtown San Diego, right here on the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, friends, it's Woodsy here, San Diego.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Middle Building at Petco Park as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:40 here in downtown San Diego. Game 2 of this 3-game set between the Padres and Dodgers. Right-hander Griffin Canning on the mound for San Diego. Right-hander Emmett Sheehan on the mound for LA. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal. Keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. A lot to do still on our pregame coverage. In just a little bit, I go one-on-one with Padres catcher and one of last night's heroes in a 1-0 win. That is Rodolfo Duran. Before we get to today's injury report, I do want to tell you something. I walked into the loft today getting ready for the pregame show, and I saw a bunch of people with Padres caps that also had tacos on them. And that's because it is Taco Tuesday, and there was a theme game package ticket today that included a limited edition Padres taco hat. So you got to see these hats. You got one right there. Let me see that taco hat. I mean, can I show the people on YouTube here? Okay, here we go. I got one right here for you for the YouTube audience. Take a look at this thing. Padre logo and then tacos for Taco Tuesday. Isn't that cool? I got to get one of these. All right. I love that hat. That's a great hat. Little Taco Tuesday as the Padres get ready to take on the LA Dodgers. Let's give you the latest on the injuries for both the Padres and the Dodgers.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
We mentioned this yesterday, but the major injuries right now for the Dodgers come in their starting rotation. Blake Snell expected to undergo a procedure to remove loose bodies in his left elbow. It's what's called the nanoneedle scope procedure, and the expectation is that Snell will return this season, but he will be out for some time. Tyler Glasnow still on the IL for the Dodgers. He's been dealing with lower back spasms. As far as the Padres, obviously a few guys on the IL right now that are, on the way back. German Marquez still on the IL with that right forearm nerve irritation. He has began a throwing program. Matt Waldron on the IL with that right brachialis strain. Luis Campusano continues to be on the IL with that left big toe fracture. And Jake Cronenworth continues to be on the concussion IL. So we'll see what the updates are on all those guys in the days to come. And that's a quick look at today's injury report for the Padres and the Dodgers. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a couple of games that are already final. Reds beat the Phillies 4-1 in Philadelphia. Guardians beat the Tigers 4-3 in Detroit. Games going on right now. Rays ahead of the Orioles 4-1 in Tampa Bay in the 8th inning. They were delayed due to rain in D.C., but the Nationals beating the Mets right now 9-5 in the 6th inning. Yankees 5, Blue Jays 3 in the Bronx in the 6th inning. Red Sox ahead of the Royals in Kansas City 2-1 in the 5th. Astros leading the Twins in Minnesota 2-0 in the 7th inning. Brewers 3, Cubs 0 at Wrigley Field in Chicago in the 6th inning. Pirates ahead of the Cardinals 4-3 in St. Louis in the 6th inning. Rangers 2, Rockies 0 in the 2nd in Colorado. Games coming up aside from this one. A's and the Angels at 6:38 in Anaheim. White Sox and the Mariners in Seattle at 6:40. And finally, Giants and the D-backs in Arizona at 6:40. And that is a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. We'll have much more on all those games coming up later on during our post-game coverage. Well, yesterday, Rodolfo Duran made the start behind the plate for the Padres. And Duran didn't have a hit in yesterday's game, but man, oh man, did he have an impact in that game. He threw out 2 guys trying to steal. He caught a shutout between Michael King, Jason Adam, and Mason Miller. He overturned a trio of ABS challenges. He was successful on them, and he just did a great job behind the plate, receiving his defense, the challenges, throwing out guys trying to steal, and that comes after his first hit of his major league career, the home run in Seattle over the weekend. He has been a very good story for this Padres team after coming up from AAA, a guy who once spent 11 years in the minor leagues before his major league debut. I caught up with Rodolfo Duran earlier today.
Rodolfo, I want to congratulate you because you had such a big impact on that game last night, a 1-0 win. First off, you caught Michael King. He was terrific, 7 scoreless innings. What made Michael King so good last night?
Everything was there. He was executing everything, the plan that we got, and he's a fun guy to catch.
What makes him so effective? Is it the movement? Is it all the different weapons he has? Because it just seemed like he had everything going last night.
Yeah, like he can play with everything. He got his tools and he got his changeup, he got his sweeper, he got all of the tools. So everything was working out good yesterday, and we got that job that he did yesterday.
You also threw out two guys trying to steal. You had a big impact in that department. Where do you feel like you're at right now as far as your ability to control traffic on the bases, as far as an opponent's running game?
No, keep trusting the work that we put in and let it play in the game. It feels like satisfactory. Like I was able to do that.
What was the key last night in those two situations where you threw guys out at second base? To you, what allowed you to do that last night?
No, keep trusting myself and trust like everything I've been doing and let it play in the game.
Do you typically try to lead the guy you're throwing to at second base into the runner to the right side of the bag?
I'm trying to throw it like right at the back, but sometimes if I want to miss, I want to miss in that side. So there's more chance that they can make the play. And I trust those guys over there like Tatis and Bogart have been doing a great job to cut the ball and finish this play.
We're joined by Padres catcher Rodolfo Duran here on the Padres Radio Network. You were 3 for 3 yesterday in the ABS challenges. You've been terrific in that department. In your eyes, is there a strategy? Is there a key to that? How have you been so good early on in the major leagues at getting these challenges?
Yeah, like being in AAA for the last 2 years, they put the ABS like 2 years ago and trusting my eyes. So and having some feel on like some stadiums are different, but having the feel and trust the eyes is the key.
With Mason Miller in the 9th inning yesterday, he clearly didn't have the command those first couple of batters. Then he throws ball one to Will Smith with 2 guys on, nobody out. The 1-0 pitch is called the ball. You challenge it. It's overturned into a strike. The count goes to 1-1. And it seemed like from that point on, Mason really locked it in, like he found something. Let's talk about that challenge with Will Smith at the plate in particular. Did you feel like that was a moment where it was important to challenge because of what Mason was going through at that point?
No, I thought that it was a strike.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I saw it, the umpire didn't call it, so I went right about challenge, and I knew that he was going to be back. Yeah. He's fantastic. Like he's electric, and after that, he was phenomenal.
What did he do in your eyes differently after that overturned call, where all of a sudden he started to find the zone again?
No, he made the adjustment. He knows what to do in the mound. Yeah. So everything plays after that.
He was talking about his front side. Did you see that in the moment that he was doing something a little bit differently with that front side?
At the moment, I didn't notice. Yeah. So I was trying to call a pitch so I can get back in the count, and he paid off.
Finally, let's wrap up with this. You hit the home run in Seattle, first major league hit. You and I, a couple of weeks ago, talked about your journey to this point. To have your first major league hit be a home run, what did that feel like?
No, it feels amazing, and having the opportunity to be my first major league hit feels awesome.
I got to ask you, because you almost had 2 in that game. Julio Rodriguez goes up there, takes the home run away. What's going through your head at that moment?
So I need to hit it farther. Okay. So he's part of the game, so he made a good play. He's excellent outfielder, and it happens.
Rodolfo, congratulations on a great moment in Seattle. Such a big impact on last night's win. Keep up the great work. I think you're going to have many more home runs, so hopefully we're not thinking about that Julio Rodriguez play all too long. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Padres catcher Rodolfo Duran. Earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse, Duran on the bench today. Freddie Fermin doing the catching, but what an impact he had in yesterday's 1-0 win. Now the Padres going for a 5th consecutive win and a 2nd win in this 3-game series against LA. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's give you our keys to tonight's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number one, Griffin Canning, follow the King. Michael King was simply incredible last night. 7 scoreless innings. The question today, can Griffin Canning follow it up for this Padres pitching staff? The Padres have won 7 of their past 9 games. They posted a 2.81 ERA as a staff during that stretch. Griffin Canning makes his 4th start of the season after beginning the year on the injured list, recovering from a ruptured Achilles tendon. He really struggled in Milwaukee last Thursday, gave up 6 runs in just an inning and 2/3. He's given up 12 runs in 6 combined innings over his last 2 starts after tossing 5 innings of 1-run baseball in his season debut. He typically has been good, though, against the Dodgers. He has a 3.64 ERA in 6 career starts against the LA Dodgers, all while pitching for the Angels and the Mets. That's key number 1. Griffin Canning being better here today. Key number 2. Keep scoring early. Padres scored in the first inning on Sunday in Seattle. They did the same thing last night. It was the first time this season the Padres had scored in the first inning in 2 consecutive games all year. How about that? Sunday and Monday, Padres scoring in the first inning in 2 straight games for the first time this season. Padres are 17-5 when they score first this season. Get on the board early. You got a really good chance to win. That's key number 2. Key number 3, keep limiting the top half of this Dodger lineup. Look at what the Padres did yesterday. Ohtani, he had 2 hits, but they were both singles. Betts had a hit. It was a single. Freeman, no hits. Tucker, no hits. Smith, no hits. Muncy, no hits. Padres did a remarkable job against a very talented Dodger lineup. Can they do that again here tonight? We're going to find out, and that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we take a little bit of a deeper look at right-hander Emmett Sheehan on the mound for the Dodgers here today. First pitch coming up at 6:40. Padres and Dodgers in Game 2 of this 3-game series coming your way on the Padres Radio Network.
We'll be right back.
SoCal. Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Right-hander Griffin Canning on the mound for the Padres here today. The Padres going for a second win in this series and a fifth win in a row. Padres have won 7 of their past 9 games. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's Game 2 of this 3-game set.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in tonight's game. How did the Padres left-handed hitters fare against Dodgers righty Emmett Sheehan? Here's why. Look at the splits for Sheehan this season. Righties are batting .206 against him with no home runs. Lefties are batting .278 against him with a .921 OPS and 7 home runs on the season. So who are we looking at in the lineup today? You're really focused on 2 guys. Gavin Sheets, who's been red hot, the reigning National League Player of the Week. Jackson Merrill, who has not been red hot. We talked about his numbers a little bit earlier. Those 2 lefties in the lineup today for the Padres, Sheets and Merrill. What can they do against Dodger right-hander Emmett Sheehan? Because those are some significant splits. Again, lefties batting .278 against him with a .921 OPS, and every home run, all 7 home runs that Sheehan has given up this season have come against left-handed hitters. What does Sheets and Merrill do against Emmett Sheehan? And that's what to watch for in today's game. As always, we appreciate you listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network. Let's set the table one more time for you. Padres and Dodgers enter this series with a half game separating them in the standings. Padres enter today in first place in the National League West at 29-18. Dodgers right behind them in second place at 29-19. Padres have won 7 of their past 9. They've won 4 in a row. Can the Padres keep it rolling against the Dodgers here tonight? We're going to find out. When we come back, we go out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.